Hey guys, tonight we leave our world behind entirely. We're traveling back in time, not to a place of stone castles or Roman legions, but to the deep, ancient forests of North America, long before it had that name. Imagine a world lit only by fire and stars, a world that smells of wood smoke, damp earth, and pine. You're standing at the edge of a clearing as a crisp, late autumn wind whispers through the skeletal branches of hickory and maple trees. The air is so clean it almost hurts to breathe. Now, as for surviving here, let's be honest, without a lifetime of training, you probably wouldn't last a week. The quiet of the forest is beautiful, but it's also a quiet that doesn't suffer fools gladly. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's always fun to see where everyone is listening from, so feel free to post your city or country and the local time in the comments below. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The wind bites at your cheeks, a playful but insistent chill that reminds you winter is on its way. Ahead of you, nestled in the clearing, is a structure unlike any you've seen before. It's a long, narrow building, impossibly long, stretching away into the twilight. Its walls and rounded roof are made of overlapping sheets of elm bark, patched and weathered, giving it the appearance of a great, gentle beast resting on the forest floor. This is a longhouse, the heart of a Haudenosaunee village. Smoke curls from several holes cut along the spine of its roof, rising in lazy gray columns against the deep violet sky. Each plume of smoke represents a family's hearth fire within. You feel a pull towards it, a promise of warmth and safety against the encroaching night. You approach the entrance, a simple opening covered by a thick animal hide. Pushing it aside, you step from the cold, sharp air into a different world. The air inside is warm, thick with the smell of burning maple and ash, the savory scent of roasting squash, and the fainter, earthier aromas of dried herbs and tanned leather. Your eyes take a moment to adjust to the dimness. The interior is a vast, single room, stretching out before you like a tunnel. Down the central corridor, a series of small fires burn in shallow pits, their flames casting a flickering, hypnotic light that dances across the faces and walls around you. The smoke mostly finds its way up to the vents in the roof, but enough of it lingers to create a hazy, dreamlike atmosphere. It's the original smoke alarm and air purifier all in one, a constant reminder that you are sheltered. Along both sides of the long corridor are raised platforms, creating two levels of living space. These are the family compartments, open to the central aisle, but providing a distinct zone for each household. The lower platform is for sitting, working, and daily life, while the upper platform, closer to the warm air trapped by the ceiling, is for sleeping and storage. You see bundles of dried corn hanging from the rafters, braids of squash, and neat stacks of furs. It's the original bunk bed, really, though you suspect arguments over who gets the top bunk were probably less common.
This building is the foundational unit of the Haudenosaunee, or Iroquois Confederacy, a sophisticated political alliance of 6 nations that was a dominant force in this region for centuries. This very structure is a physical representation of their social world. Each longhouse would be home to a number of families, all related through their mothers. Your place in the world, your clan identity, was passed down through the maternal line. You see people moving with a quiet purpose in the firelight. An old woman is using a bone needle to mend a moccasin. 2 young men are restringing a bow, their movements economical and sure. Children, who seem to be a silent mass in the shadows, occasionally dart through the light, their brief laughter quickly shushed. There is a sense of community here that is almost overwhelming. The modern concept of privacy seems to have taken one look at the longhouse and decided to wait a few centuries to be invented. It's an open-plan living concept taken to its most logical conclusion. You find an empty space on a lower bunk near one of the fires, the wood beneath you covered with a thick, surprisingly soft mat. You run your hand over it. It's woven from reeds and stuffed with the fluffy down from cattail heads. It's a quirky but brilliant use of a wetland plant, providing insulation from the cold ground and a comfortable cushion. You see it tucked into the cracks of the bark walls as well, a simple and effective defense against the autumn wind you just escaped. As you settle in, you notice the building isn't just a haphazard construction. The entrances are traditionally placed on the east and west ends. Historians still argue whether this orientation was purely practical to align with the path of the sun, or if it held deeper cosmological and symbolic meaning, representing the journey of life itself. Tonight, for you, it simply means you entered with the setting sun and have found a place of rest for the night. The low murmur of voices, speaking in a language you don't understand but whose gentle cadence is soothing, begins to lull you. The fire crackles, a log shifts, and a shower of orange sparks drifts upwards into the smoky darkness. It is here, in the warmth and the dim flickering light, that a storyteller begins to speak, and our story of the sky begins. The storyteller is an old man, his face a beautiful map of wrinkles, each line earned from a life lived under the sun and stars. He sits cross-legged, his back straight, holding a cup of what you assume is a warm herbal tea. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. The longhouse, which a moment ago was filled with the low hum of a dozen quiet activities, has fallen even more silent. The sound of his voice is like the rustle of dry leaves, soft but clear, and it weaves itself through the smoky air, capturing everyone's attention without a single demand. You lean back against a wooden support post, the rough bark pressing slightly into your shoulder, and you let your eyes drift around this communal home one more time before the story truly takes hold. The world here is built of wood, smoke, and patience. You watch a woman a few feet away working on a deer hide draped over a smooth log. In her hands, she holds a scraper, not of metal, but of bone. She uses the methodical, rhythmic strokes of someone who has done this 1,000 times, and the sound is a soft, repetitive shush, shush, shush that is surprisingly calming. It's a sound that has echoed in this longhouse for generations. Near her, a clay pot full of water sits by the fire, the surface gently steaming. You notice the pot isn't perfectly smooth. It's adorned with a series of incised lines and dots, creating a geometric pattern around its neck. It's simple, yet beautiful. Archaeologists debate whether the intricate geometric patterns etched into this kind of pottery were purely decorative flair, a bit of artistic expression, or if they functioned as a kind of signature, identifying the pot's owner or their specific clan.
The air, as you breathe it in deeply, is a complex blend of scents. The dominant smell is, of course, the wood smoke, but it's not acrid. It's a clean, almost sweet smoke that has permeated everything, a constant presence that probably makes your own modern clothes smell rather strange and foreign. Beneath the smoke, you can pick out the smell of cornmeal being ground in a hollowed-out log, the rich, nutty aroma of simmering beans, and the almost pumpkin-like sweetness of roasting squash. These three foods are the cornerstone of the Haudenosaunee diet. They are known as the Three Sisters, a trio of crops that are not just grown together, but actively help one another thrive. It's a masterpiece of agricultural teamwork that modern gardeners are still trying to perfect. The tall corn provides a natural trellis for the bean vines to climb. The beans enrich the soil with nitrogen for the other plants, and the broad, low-lying leaves of the squash shade the ground, keeping it moist and preventing weeds from growing. It's like the world's most productive and least dramatic group project. You see the evidence of this bounty everywhere. A young man is preparing a cob of dried corn for the pot, and the tool he's using is fascinating. He's holding the jawbone of a deer, the molars still intact, and using it to scrape the hard kernels from the cob.
It's an ingenious, highly effective, if slightly gruesome piece of kitchenware. Definitely not dishwasher safe. Everyone seems to have a task, a purpose, moving with an unhurried grace. It makes you feel a bit useless, like you're the only intern in an office full of seasoned experts just trying to stay out of the way. But no one seems to mind your presence. You are a guest, and you have been given a place by the fire, and that is enough. The longhouse itself seems to breathe around you. The wind outside gusts, and you can hear it whistling softly as it finds the small gaps in the bark walls. The massive wooden support posts, whole tree trunks, smoothed by countless hands, groan ever so slightly. The sound of a great ship sailing through a sea of trees. There is no sound of metal, no hum of electricity, no artificial light. The only percussion is the crackle of the fire, the rhythmic thud of a stone pestle, and the soft murmur of the storyteller's voice. He has not yet reached the main part of his tale. He is setting the scene, speaking of the world as it was, when the animals were greater and the forests were deeper. His words are the first few threads of a tapestry, and the whole longhouse is leaning in, ready for him to weave the rest. Your own world, with its deadlines and glowing screens, feels 1,000,000 miles away. Here, time is measured not in minutes and hours, but in the slow burn of a log, the length of a story, and the steady rhythm of a sleeping breath. The old storyteller takes a slow sip from his cup, letting the silence hang in the smoky air for a moment longer. Then he begins. His words don't just tell you a story, they pull you into it. The warmth of the longhouse fire seems to fade, replaced by the memory of a crisp, clear autumn from long ago. You are no longer just a visitor, you are part of this village, living through the strange season that would become a legend. It begins not with a roar, but with a quiet sense of wrongness. The hunters, men who can read the forest floor like a written page, start coming back with less and less. The deer, it seems, have vanished from their usual trails. The rabbits and turkeys are nowhere to be found. The woods, usually alive with sound and movement, have grown strangely still.
At first, it's dismissed as a bad turn of luck, an early migration, but the quiet deepens. You walk through the forest on a routine task, gathering fallen branches for the fire, and you feel it. There's a new weight to the silence. The chattering squirrels are gone from the oaks. The jays are no longer scolding from the pines. It's as if the entire forest is holding its breath. The general mood in the village shifts from content and industrious to a low, simmering tension, the kind you can't quite name but can feel in the back of your neck. Then come the first real signs. A hunter, tracking what he thought was a large buck, finds a footprint pressed deep into the damp earth by a stream. It's a bear track, but it is impossibly large, wider than his two hands placed side by side. He returns to the village not with game, but with a story that makes the elders exchange long, knowing glances. A few days later, two women gathering late-season berries from a thicket find the bushes torn apart, the branches snapped with a strength that seems unnatural. And high on the trunk of a massive white pine, they see the claw marks, 4 deep gouges in the bark, higher than any man could reach, even standing on another's shoulders. The tracks are the kind that make you want to go home and take up a less adventurous hobby, like basket weaving, indoors. This is deeply unsettling because the bear is not a monster to the Haudenosaunee. The black bear, Osquayani, is a respected and powerful neighbor. It is a symbol of strength and self-knowledge. For generations, your people have hunted it, but always with reverence. A successful bear hunt provides so much: warm fur for robes and sleeping mats, rich meat for the winter stores, and most prized of all, its fat. Bear grease is a form of liquid gold. Rendered down, it becomes a high-energy cooking oil, a waterproofing balm for leather moccasins, a soothing ointment for scrapes and sore muscles, and even a conditioner to make hair shine and protect skin from the harsh winter wind. It was the ultimate all-in-one cosmetic and waterproofing product. You can't get that at the pharmacy. The bear is a gift from the Creator, a key part of the world's balance. But this bear is different. It isn't acting like a normal bear. It isn't hunting for food and then moving on. It is systematically emptying the forest, driving the other animals away, claiming the entire territory for itself with an unnerving intelligence. It leaves behind a trail of casual destruction, as if it knows no fear. Ethnobotanists and traditional knowledge keepers still debate the full extent of the Haudenosaunee symbiotic relationship with their environment, a knowledge so deep it bordered on a conversation with the forest itself. And that conversation is now telling them that something is deeply out of balance. This is not just a large animal, it is a presence, a great shadow that has fallen over the land. And as the days grow shorter and the air grows colder, the shadow grows longer, and the village knows that something must be done. The winter stores are not as full as they should be, and the creature's silent, invisible reign is becoming a genuine threat to the people's survival. The time for whispers is ending. The time for action is about to begin. The storyteller's voice lowers, drawing you into the heart of the longhouse, to a council fire that burns brighter than the others. This is where the decision is made. It isn't a loud or angry debate. It's a quiet, deliberate council of the village elders. You watch as the leaders of the different clans speak, their words measured and thoughtful. And you notice something that might seem strange from your modern perspective. The most influential voices belong to the elder women, the clan mothers. They sit with a quiet authority, their faces serene in the firelight. While the men are often the public speakers and the chiefs, it is the clan mothers who appoint them and who hold the power to remove them. This is a matrilineal society, where your identity and your clan are passed down through your mother, not your father. This isn't your average homeowners association meeting about overgrown lawns. The stakes are slightly higher, namely, the entire village's ability to eat during the winter.
Historians continue to discuss the precise balance of power between the men's councils and the clan mothers, but it was a deeply complementary system, a partnership that early European observers, with their own patriarchal views, often misunderstood completely. The clan mothers are the custodians of the village's resources and future, and they listen intently as the hunters describe the great bear's shadow over the land. When they have all heard enough, a consensus is reached, a silent agreement that passes through the group like a ripple in a calm pond. The great bear must be hunted. A chief stands and holds up a string of wampum. The polished beads made from the shells of quahog clams are a deep purple and a milky white, arranged in a simple pattern. This is not money. Wampum belts and strings are living documents used to record treaties, histories, and solemn messages. This string is a promise, a declaration that this hunt is necessary for the survival of the people. As the decision settles in the warm air, three men who had been sitting quietly together rise and step forward into the light. They are brothers. They are not impossibly muscular or godlike in appearance. They are simply men of the Longhouse, their bodies lean and capable from a life of work and travel through the forests. The first, the eldest, is the tracker. He is a man of few words, his eyes constantly moving, noticing everything. He is the one who can read a story in a bent twig, a scuffed patch of moss, or the direction the wind is blowing. He understands the forest's subtle language, and he will be the one to find the bear's path. The second brother, the middle one, is the strong arm. He is broader in the shoulder than the others, his hands calloused and sure. He carries the heaviest spear, its sharpened flint point gleaming dully in the firelight. He is the endurance of the group, the one who can run for a day without tiring, the one who can pull a canoe from the water without help. He's the kind of person you'd want on your team for moving day, or, for hunting a supernatural mega bear. His strength is not for show, it is a quiet, reliable force that the others depend on. Finally, the youngest brother steps forward. He is the keen eye. Where the tracker sees the path that was, the keen eye sees what is happening in the present moment, often before anyone else. He notices the flicker of a deer's ear half a mile away, the agitated flight of a flock of birds that signals a predator, the subtle shift in the clouds that foretells a change in weather. And in his hand, he carries not a weapon, but a small clay cooking pot containing a little parched corn, and he is followed by their small shaggy dog, who seems to understand the seriousness of the moment and stays close to his heels. It seems that even in ancient legends, the youngest sibling still gets stuck with carrying the least glamorous equipment. Some things are universal. Together, these three brothers represent a perfect balance of skill: the wisdom to find the path, the strength to endure it, and the awareness to see it through. They stand before the council, and with a simple nod, they accept the task. The great hunt is about to begin. Before the first hint of gray light touches the eastern sky, the three brothers are awake. They move without a sound through the sleeping longhouse, their moccasined feet whispering over the hard-packed earth floor. They leave before the sun is up, a time of day most of us are only familiar with because we forgot to turn off an alarm. For them, it's just the start of the workday. You follow them out of the warm, smoky confines of the longhouse into the sharp, cold air of the pre-dawn. A low mist clings to the ground, muffling the world in a soft, gray blanket. The brothers pause at the edge of the forest, the great wall of dark trees looming before them. Their equipment is simple, but every piece is a work of art and a product of immense knowledge. The tracker carries a short, powerful bow made from a single perfect stave of hickory, a wood that bends without breaking. The bowstring is made of twisted deer sinew, strong and resilient. The strong arm carries a heavy spear, its shaft of ash wood straightened and smoothed by hand over many hours. The point is not metal, but a piece of gray flint, knapped with incredible skill into a leaf shape with brutally sharp edges. This technology of flint knapping, shaping stone by striking it with another stone or a piece of antler, is an ancient art that requires a master's touch to produce a point that is both lethal and durable. Archaeologists and forensic anthropologists still debate just how effective a flint-tipped spear truly was. Unlike a metal broadhead which cuts a wide channel, a stone point is more of a piercer, relying entirely on the hunter's strength and pinpoint accuracy to reach a vital organ. Before they step under the canopy of trees, the youngest brother, the keen eye, performs a small ritual. He takes out a small bundle of dried sweetgrass, lighting it from a carefully preserved ember. A fragrant, sweet smoke begins to curl into the still air. He lets the smoke wash over himself, his brothers, their weapons, and even the little dog, who sits patiently through the whole process. This is a practical act as much as a spiritual one. It's a prayer for safety and success, but it also helps to mask their human scent with the natural aroma of the woods. It's the original scent blocker, far more organic than anything you'd find in a sporting goods store and probably works better too. With the ritual complete, they enter the forest. And now the hunt truly begins, but it is a hunt of the mind before it is a hunt of the body. The tracker takes the lead, his eyes scanning not the horizon, but the ground just a few feet in front of him. You watch, trying to see what he sees, but the forest floor looks like a chaotic jumble of leaves. To him, it is a manuscript. He points to a patch of moss, and you have to squint to see the faint indentation, the barely visible sign that something heavy has passed this way. He can tell you not just what passed by, but how long ago, how fast it was going, and probably what it had for breakfast. It's like a furry, four-legged version of a traffic camera, but way more impressive.
For hours, the process is painstakingly slow. They move in a line, silent, communicating with subtle hand gestures. The tracker follows the ghost of a trail. He finds a single dark hair snagged on the bark of a raspberry bush. He spots a stone that has been unnaturally overturned, its damp, dark side exposed to the air. The strong arm watches the ridges and the thicker parts of the woods, while the keen eye scans the treetops and listens for the calls of birds that might signal the bear's passage. Their progress is not measured in miles, but in clues. It is a slow, methodical, and deeply meditative process. They are not conquerors crashing through the woods. They are becoming part of the forest, attuning their senses to its rhythm, listening for the one discordant note that is the Great Bear. Then, late in the morning, the tracker stops. He kneels and points. There, in a patch of soft mud near a trickling spring, is a perfect, clear print. It is massive, claw marks and all, fresh enough that a tiny bit of water is still seeping into it. The trail is no longer cold. The real chase is on. The discovery of the fresh track changes everything. The slow, meditative patience of the search is replaced by a focused, urgent energy. The brothers exchange a single, sharp nod. There is no need for words. The tracker melts into the forest, moving at a steady, ground-covering trot, his eyes still fixed on the trail. The other two fall in behind him, their movements fluid and silent. They move at a pace that seems effortless, but would have most of us calling for a taxi and an oxygen mask within about 10 minutes. The hunt has entered a new phase, a relentless pursuit through the heart of the great eastern woodlands. You are swept along with them, deeper into a forest that is a breathtaking explosion of color. It is late autumn, and the world around you is on fire. The sugar maples have turned a brilliant, searing red, while the birches and hickories are a shower of gold. The oaks hold on to their leaves, a deep, sturdy russet brown. These colors are all set against the dark, stoic green of the white pines and the hemlocks, creating a mosaic of life and decay that is achingly beautiful. It's the kind of scenery people pay good money to drive and see, though they're usually doing it with a pumpkin spice latte in the cup holder, not in hot pursuit of a mythical beast. The air is cool and smells of damp earth and the sweet, wine-like scent of decaying leaves. Every now and then, a gust of wind sends a cascade of color whispering down from the canopy. This vast forest is their home, their pantry, and their temple. The Haudenosaunee have a use for almost every tree that grows here. The strong, flexible wood of the hickory is perfect for making bows. The bark of the elm, peeled in huge sheets, forms the walls of the longhouse you just left. The acorns from the mighty oaks can be ground into a nutrient-rich flour, and in the spring, the sap of the maple provides a sweet, life-giving sugar. The brothers move through this world with an innate understanding, their moccasined feet finding sure footing on the thick carpet of leaves. They navigate this trackless wilderness without a map or compass, relying on a mental chart built over a lifetime. They know which way is north by the moss that grows thickest on the shaded side of a tree trunk. They navigate by the position of the sun, even when it's obscured by clouds, feeling its faint warmth and position in the sky. Primatologists and anthropologists still debate the extent to which early humans possessed an innate, map-like sense of direction, a cognitive skill that has largely atrophied in a world of street signs and GPS. For these brothers, it's as natural as breathing. Their internal compass is a lot more reliable than your phone's GPS, and the battery life is significantly better. The bear is always just ahead. They never see it clearly, but they feel its presence. They find a stream bank where it has just crossed, the water still clouded with disturbed silt. They come to a thicket of berry bushes, the branches still trembling slightly from its passage. The strong arm, scouting a parallel ridge to cover more ground, finds a clear path and signals to his brothers. He doesn't shout, he simply finds a witch hazel sapling and snaps a small branch, bending it back on itself. The break exposes the bright yellow inner wood, a small, unnatural star of color in the forest that silently communicates. The way is clear, this way. It is a language written in leaves and branches. For the rest of the day, the chase is a silent, rhythmic dance of endurance, a steady push deeper and deeper into the vibrant, dying heart of the autumn world, following a shadow they can feel but cannot yet see.
As the sun dips below the horizon, the character of the forest changes completely. The brilliant reds and yellows that blazed under the daylight fade into muted purples and deep, soft grays. The world becomes a place of shadow and silhouette. The air grows still and heavy with a profound cold. The brothers, guided by this ancient clock of light and darkness, finally bring their relentless trot to a halt. There can be no tracking in the dark. To continue would be the risk losing the trail entirely. In a small, sheltered hollow, protected by a large granite outcropping and a thick stand of hemlock trees, they make their camp for the night. There is no wasted motion. The tracker finds a spot for a fire, scraping away the thick layer of dry leaves down to the bare earth to prevent any sparks from spreading. The strong arm gathers fallen branches, snapping them over his knee into manageable lengths with practiced efficiency. Their shelter for the night is a simple affair. It's not a five-star hotel, but it has excellent ventilation and a very, very late checkout time. They create a simple lean-to against the rock, just enough to break the wind and reflect a little of the fire's heat back at them. The fire itself is small and discreet, built in a shallow pit and surrounded by stones. It provides just enough light to see by and just enough warmth to keep the deep chill of the night at bay. With their shelter established, the youngest brother, the keen eye, takes on his other role, the keeper of provisions. From a sturdy leather pack, he pulls out the small clay cooking pot you saw him with earlier, along with a pouch made of buckskin. This pack contains their entire kitchen and pantry for the journey. A Haudenosaunee hunter's kit was a model of lightweight efficiency, a fire-making set using a bow drill or flint and pyrite, a few sharp stone flakes for cutting, and their food, a small amount of dried meat and the most important staple of all, parched corn. The keen eye opens the pouch and pours some of the hard, dry kernels into the pot. This isn't the sweet corn you might be used to. This is flint corn, its kernels hard as stone. To make it edible and portable, it was roasted in hot sand and ashes until it dried completely and puffed up slightly, a process that removed all the moisture and made it last for months without spoiling. It's a superfood of the ancient world, incredibly lightweight, calorie-dense, and ready to eat after a little soaking. Bioarchaeologists who study ancient remains still debate the full nutritional profile of the pre-contact Haudenosaunee diet, but it was remarkably balanced and robust. The keen eye adds a little water to the pot from a gourd flask and places it on a flat stone near the fire's edge. Soon, a gentle steam begins to rise, and the air is filled with the simple, wholesome smell of warm corn. The meal is a warm, simple mush, seasoned with a pinch of dried berries. It's the original instant oatmeal, just without the little paper packet and the questionable maple and brown sugar flavoring. The three brothers and their small dog eat in comfortable silence, their faces illuminated by the gentle, flickering light. Their little dog gets his share, eating quietly by the fire. He's the perfect hiking companion. No complaining, doesn't ask, "Are we there yet?" and is easily pleased with the dinner options. The only sounds are the quiet scrape of their wooden spoons against the clay pot, the soft hiss and crackle of the fire, and the vast, deep silence of the forest at night. A great horned owl calls out from a distant ridge, its deep hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo echoing through the trees. The stars begin to appear, cold and brilliant diamonds scattered across a black velvet sky, visible in the gaps between the dark pines. Having satisfied their hunger, the brothers bank the fire, wrap themselves in their thick fur robes, and settle down to rest. The chase will begin again at first light. For now, there is only the quiet, the cold, and the deep, earned sleep under the watchful eyes of the stars. They wake up with the birds, which sounds poetic until you realize it's incredibly early, and the birds aren't demanding coffee before they start their day. The world is a canvas of gray and silver as the first light filters through the dense hemlock branches. A quick, warm meal of the remaining parched corn, a drink of frigid water from a nearby stream, and they are moving again. The fire is carefully extinguished, the ashes scattered, their lean-to dismantled and returned to the forest floor. They leave behind almost no trace of their presence, a skill as important as tracking itself. Within minutes of the sun clearing the horizon, they are back on the bear's trail, which is still unnervingly clear. The second day of the chase feels different. The rhythm is the same. The steady ground-eating trot, the silent communication, the constant scanning of the environment, but the land itself is changing. The familiar rolling hills of their home territory begin to steepen, the valleys deepening into rocky ravines. The trees seem older, bigger, massive oaks that were seedlings centuries ago, pines so tall their tops seem to brush the sky. The brothers are expert travelers, familiar with a world far larger than just their own village. They are part of a vast network of trade routes, footpaths, and waterways that crisscross the continent. They know the trails that can take you to the great freshwater seas in the west to trade for copper, or south to the lands where the flint for their spear points is mined, or east toward the great salt ocean where the shells for wampum is found. They have walked for weeks on end, seen different landscapes, and met different peoples. But this land is new. It feels ancient and untouched. As the terrain gets rougher, you notice how perfectly their footwear is adapted to the forest and how it is becoming less ideal for this new rocky ground. Their buckskin moccasins are sewn from a single piece of hide, wrapping the foot in a soft, pliable layer. They're basically super comfortable, ultra-stealth socks with a bit of attitude. They allow the wearer to feel the texture of the ground, to step silently on dry leaves, to know instinctively where to place their weight. But the soft soles offer little protection from the sharp edges of the stones that now litter their path. Still, they press on, their pace barely slowing. The bear's trail continues, relentless, leading them ever upward into higher and higher elevations. By late afternoon, they are exhausted, their legs burning from the constant climbing. The air is thinner here, colder. They break through a dense thicket of mountain laurel and suddenly stop, all three of them, in silent, breathless awe. The forest ends abruptly at the edge of a great cliff. Below them is a vast, empty expanse, and rising from its center is a sight that does not belong in their world. It is a mountain, but is unlike any mountain they have ever known or heard of in any story.
It rises impossibly high, a single lonely peak of dark gray rock, its summit completely lost in a permanent shroud of swirling clouds. Its sides are sheer, almost vertical, scoured clean of any trees or soil. It looms over the landscape like a landlord coming to collect rent. It's big, it's intimidating, and it's definitely not on any of their mental maps. Oral traditions and archaeological evidence sometimes conflict, and scholars still debate the exact location and nature of the sacred sites mentioned in Haudenosaunee cosmology. Was this mountain a real place, a geographic anomaly, or was it a symbolic gateway, a place where the border between the worlds was thin? To the brothers, this distinction doesn't matter. What matters is the trail. The Great Bear's tracks lead directly to the base of this impossible peak, and then they begin to go up. The bear has not gone around the mountain, it has started to climb it. The brothers look at one another. There is no fear in their eyes, only a grim, weary resolve. The hunt has led them to the very edge of the world. Now, it seems, they must leave it behind. There is no discussion, no debate. The trail leads up, so they must follow. After a moment to rest, to drink the last of their water, and to secure their weapons to their backs, the tracker finds the first handhold on the dark gray rock. The climb begins. It's less of a hike and more of a vertical negotiation with gravity, and gravity is not in a mood to compromise. The rock is cold and rough against their fingertips, offering a solid, if unforgiving, purchase. The brothers move with the same quiet efficiency they showed in the forest, their bodies lean and strong, finding a rhythm in the slow, arduous process of pulling themselves upward, foot by foot. As they climb, the world they know begins to shrink below them. The vast, colorful canopy of the autumn forest becomes a textured blanket, a rich tapestry of red, gold, and green. Rivers and lakes become silver threads and mirrored patches. The scale of it is immense, a view that makes you feel both powerful and profoundly insignificant at the same time. It's the kind of view you'd normally have to pay a hefty fee for at a tourist overlook, but their admission price is just severe muscle fatigue and a touch of vertigo. The wind is a constant companion, pulling at their clothes and whispering strange secrets in their ears. It's a wild, lonely sound. This climb is more than just a physical challenge. It is a journey between worlds. In Haudenosaunee cosmology, the universe is layered. Below is a dark, watery realm. Above is the sky world, the home of the Creator and other powerful spirits, the place from which their own ancestors first descended. And in the middle is the world they know, the Earth, balanced between these two great domains. This mountain, this impossible spire of rock, is functioning as a bridge, a physical access point to the realm above. Creation stories across the globe share common themes: a great flood, an earth diver, or a ladder to the sky, and comparative mythologists still debate whether this points to a shared, ancient human origin story or a fundamental archetypal structure of the human imagination. For the brothers, this isn't an academic theory. They are living it. They are climbing the ladder. Hours pass. Their muscles burn with a deep liquid fire, and their breath comes in ragged gasps in the thinning air. At one point, pausing on a narrow ledge to rest, a great bald eagle appears as if from nowhere. It soars past them, impossibly close, riding the updrafts with an effortless grace. It circles them once, its golden eyes seeming to look right through them, before banking and disappearing up into the clouds above. For your people, the eagle is a sacred creature, a messenger who can fly closer to the Creator than any other being. Its appearance is not a coincidence. It is a sign, an affirmation that this impossible path is the true one. The sun begins to set, but they cannot stop. To be caught on this sheer rock face in the dark would be the end. They push on, fueled by a resolve that seems to border on the supernatural. Finally, just as the last light of day paints the shrinking world below in shades of orange and purple, they reach the cloud base. It's a lot colder and damper than it looks from the ground, like climbing into a giant, moody refrigerator. A thick, disorienting mist envelops them, muffling sound and stealing their vision. They can no longer see the world they left behind, nor can they see where they are going. They are suspended in a world of gray, climbing by feel alone, trusting that the bear's trail and their destiny continues upward into the unknown. With one last desperate effort, the tracker pulls himself over a final ledge and disappears into the mist above. The strong arm and the keen eye scramble over the ledge, followed by the small, determined dog. You pull yourself up with them, your muscles screaming in protest, and get your first look at the top of the world. You have climbed through the clouds and emerged into a place that is definitely not in any travel brochure. Below you is a solid floor of white mist, a vast, undulating sea of cloud that stretches to every horizon, completely obscuring the world you came from. Above you, there is no blue sky, no moon, no sun. Instead, the cosmos is a deep velvety black, but it is crowded with stars that are larger and brighter than you could have ever imagined. They don't just twinkle, they pulse with a living, silent energy, casting a cool, silvery light over everything.
You are standing on a vast, open plain. The ground isn't rock or soil, but a kind of springy, dark turf that seems to absorb all sound. Your footsteps make no noise. The air is still and cool, and it carries a faint, musical hum, a vibration that you feel in your bones more than you hear with your ears. And the plants are both familiar and utterly alien. There are forests of trees that look like earthly pines and maples, but their leaves are shades of deep indigo and black, shimmering as if woven from shadow. Great fields of corn stand tall and proud, but their kernels glow from within, pulsing with a soft, pale yellow light. It's like nature's own built-in, energy-efficient nightlight system. No electricity bill. A small stream nearby runs not with water, but with a silvery substance that looks like liquid starlight. This is the sky world. Interpretations of this place vary greatly among both Haudenosaunee knowledge keepers and outside academics, and scholars of religion debate whether it was seen as an idealized, perfect version of Earth, a literal home for divine beings, or a kind of spiritual dimension existing in parallel to our own. But in the most essential telling, this is the original home. This is the place from which the first ancestor, Sky Woman, fell. According to the creation story, she fell through a hole in the floor of this very world and was carried down toward the great dark sea below. It was on the back of a giant turtle, with mud brought from the seafloor by a muskrat, that she began to dance and sing the world you know into existence. The brothers are now walking through the ancestral home of all life, the world before their world. They stand for only a moment, taking in the impossible, serene beauty of the celestial landscape. Their exhaustion seems to fall away, replaced by a sense of awe and profound purpose. But they have not come this far to sightsee. The tracker's eyes, which had been gazing at the brilliant stars, lower to the ground. And there, pressed into the dark, silent turf, are the tracks of the Great Bear. But here, in this magical world, the tracks themselves are glowing with a faint silvery luminescence, a clear path leading across the starry plain. The bear is still ahead of them. Just when you thought you'd reached the final level, you discover the game has an expansion pack. The hunt continues, now with 100% more cosmic scenery. With a shared, unspoken understanding, the brothers begin to move once more. Their pace is renewed, their steps light on the strange ground. They follow the glowing trail across the silent, beautiful, and utterly alien landscape of the sky world. They run past the glowing fields of corn and through the forests of shadow trees, their path illuminated by the impossibly bright stars above and the radiant tracks of their quarry below. The hunt has ascended to a different plane of existence, and it is here, in the home of the spirits, that it must finally reach its end. The hunt across the sky world is a silent, fluid dream. The brothers run without tiring, their feet making no sound on the dark, springy ground. The glowing tracks of the bear are a silver river, pulling them onward, through forests of shadow trees and past fields of softly glowing corn. The great, pulsing stars above are their only witnesses. For hours they run, until the musical hum of the sky world seems to intensify, and the tracker raises a hand, bringing the small party to a halt. He points. There, on the crest of a low, dark hill ahead of them, is the bear. They drop low, taking cover behind a stand of the strange, shimmering flora. Finally, they see it. It's huge and majestic, and it seems to be woven from the very fabric of the night sky, its form a shifting mass of shadow and starlight. It is not eating or rampaging, it is simply standing, looking out at the cosmos, a being of immense power that somehow strayed from its proper place. It's pretty much exactly as powerful as they thought it would be, but with more sparkle. It is clear that this is not a creature of flesh and blood. A simple spear or arrow will not be enough. This is a battle of spirit, of will. This is a confrontation of orenda. That is the Haudenosaunee term for the spiritual energy, the fundamental power that flows through all things. It is in the hunter, the bear, the stone of an arrowhead, the wood of a bow, the wind that guides the arrow's flight. The great bear's orenda is so powerful that it warped the world below, driving the animals away and silencing the forest. To face it, the brothers must gather and focus their own. Anthropologists often struggle to translate concepts like orenda precisely, and they debate whether it should be understood as life force, magic, potential energy, or Holy Spirit. It's a bit like the Force, but with less talking lizards and more practical applications, like hunting. The brothers prepare. The strong arm plants his feet, his spear held ready, not for a charge, but to be an anchor, a point of unshakable strength. The keen eye watches the bear's every subtle movement, his focus absolute. The tracker, the eldest, unslings his hickory bow. He takes an arrow from his quiver, the best one, straight and perfectly fletched. He doesn't notch it immediately. Instead, he holds it before him, and in a voice barely louder than a breath, he speaks to it. He tells the arrow its purpose. He sings its path, not with a melody, but with a focused intention, pouring all his will, his respect for the bear, and his love for his people into the shaft of wood and stone. It's part sacred ritual, part coaching, and probably more effective than just yelling, "Go team!" He is imbuing the arrow with his own orenda. Then, in a single fluid motion, he notches the arrow, draws the sinew string back to his cheek, and releases. The arrow does not whistle through the air. In this silent world, it is a whisper of motion, a thin line of focused intent crossing the space between the hunters and the hunted. The great bear turns its starry head at the last moment, not in fear, but in acknowledgement. The arrow does not strike with a thud of impact. It touches the creature's side, and where it meets, a brilliant, silent flash of light erupts, like a new star being born.
The bear does not fall. It does not cry out. Its form, which was a mix of shadow and starlight, simply dissolves. The shadows dissipate, and the starlight that made its body bursts outward, a gentle wave of light that washes over the celestial landscape. The great power has not been destroyed, but released, unbound from the form that had become a danger to the world below. The hunt is over. The brothers stand in the profound silence of the sky world. The cosmic bear is gone, its energy released back into the firmament. It's that slightly awkward moment after the big finale where you're not sure if you're supposed to clap or just quietly start looking for the exit. A deep, bone-weary exhaustion finally settles upon them. Their great task is done. The shadow over their world has been lifted. But the storyteller's voice in your mind reminds you, is not quite over. The defeat of the great bear had consequences, echoes that would ripple from this celestial plane down to the world of mortals below. The brothers walk to the spot where the bear made its last stand. As they look down at the dark, springy turf, they see that the creature, though made of spirit and starlight, has left a trace. A few drops of its magical essence, a substance that looks like liquid ruby, have spattered onto the ground. And where the bear's great body dissolved, a pool of shimmering golden oil has settled. This is the celestial echo of the blood and the life-giving fat that a normal bear would provide. The brothers watch as this substance begins to gently sink into the floor of the sky world, filtering through the soft ground like rain through soil. Curious, they move to the edge of their celestial plane, to the precipice they climbed to enter this realm. They look down at the vast white sea of clouds that separates this world from their own. As they watch, the clouds seem to thin slightly, becoming translucent, offering them a ghostly, godlike view of the world of forests and rivers they left behind. And as the magical blood from the bear drips down from the sky world, they see it touch the leaves of the maple trees far below, instantly turning them from green to a brilliant, shocking red. Then the golden, life-giving fat follows, sprinkling down upon the birches, the poplars, and the hickories, painting their leaves in strokes of dazzling yellow and shimmering gold. So, according to the story, autumn foliage is just the result of a magical bear hunt spilling all over the world. It's a far more exciting explanation than chlorophyll and carotenoids, you have to admit. This event becomes the first great marker in a new understanding of time. The Haudenosaunee calendar is not one of rigid months and dates, but a living cycle of moons, each tied to the rhythms of the earth. The frog moon when the spring peepers begin to sing, the strawberry moon for the first harvest of fruit, the green corn moon to celebrate the bounty of the fields. The brothers' hunt establishes the reason for the hunting moon. The turning of the leaves is now understood to be a direct sign from the sky world that the bear has been defeated, the forest is safe again, and the time for the people to hunt for their winter stores has begun. This knowledge gives rise to a whole new science of sky watching. For all the generations that followed, the elders would take the children out on clear autumn nights, and they would teach them to read the sky. The sky was their version of a calendar, a weather app, and a textbook all rolled into one. And its predictive power was probably better than most apps we use today. The degree to which ancient cultures used the specific positions of constellations to predict seasonal shifts, like the first frost, is a subject of ongoing research for archaeoastronomers. But many oral traditions suggest a highly sophisticated and practical form of sky lore. For the Haudenosaunee, the sky is not a separate, distant thing. It is a partner, a storyteller whose annual narrative gives order and meaning to their lives on the earth below. The brothers, standing at the edge of the sky, are the first to read this new chapter in the great celestial book. Having witnessed the birth of autumn, the brothers feel the finality of their journey settle upon them. Their task is complete. The balance is restored. But a new, quiet realization dawns on them. The mountain they climbed was a bridge, a pathway to this sacred realm, but it was a bridge that only went one way. Having walked in the sky world and taken part in a cosmic event, they can no longer return to the world of bark-long houses and hickory bows. They have become part of the story themselves. It's the ultimate, I should have booked a round trip, moment. But there is no sadness in this realization, only a peaceful acceptance. As they stand there looking out at the star-dusted expanse, a gentle change begins. The spirit of the great bear, its power now harmonious and no longer a threat, begins to coalesce once more, not into the form of a living creature, but into 4 brilliant, diamond-like points of light. They hang in the blackness, forming a perfect quadrangle, the body of the celestial bear. They watch, and then feel their own transformation begin. A lightness enters their limbs. Their weary, mortal bodies start to shimmer, their outlines blurring, becoming less solid, more luminous. Instead of a long walk home, they get the ultimate promotion, becoming permanent celestial bodies. It's a pretty sweet retirement plan with 0 paperwork and fantastic views. The tracker, the eldest, who led the way, is the first to lift off from the celestial plane. He becomes a single bright star, taking his place behind the bear,
forever guiding the chase. Next, the strong arm, the engine of the hunt, follows, his powerful form condensing into another brilliant point of light, right behind his brother. Finally, the keen eye, the youngest, begins to rise. He becomes the third star in the handle of what you now call the Big Dipper. The three hunters are now eternally pursuing the Great Bear across the night sky. And of course, their little dog gets to become a star too, proving once and for all that he is in fact a very, very good boy, deserving of cosmic recognition. As the keen eye takes his place, a tiny, fainter speck of light appears right beside him. This is their faithful dog, forever trotting at his master's heels. In some versions of the story, it is said that this tiny star is the little cooking pot the youngest brother carried, still full of parched corn. This faint companion star is one we know today as Alcor, right next to the brighter star Mizar. For centuries, being able to distinguish the two with the naked eye was used as a test of good vision.
And so, the constellation is complete. Known to your astronomers as Ursa Major, the Great Bear, it is fixed in the sky. For those in the northern parts of the world, it is a circumpolar constellation, meaning it never dips below the horizon. It is always visible, every night of the year, forever circling the North Star. This astronomical fact beautifully reinforces the myth. The chase is eternal. It never ends. Cross-cultural analysis of constellation myths is fascinating, and mythologists debate why so many disparate cultures across the Northern Hemisphere, from the ancient Greeks and Arabs to the Micmac and Siberian peoples, groups with no historical contact, all looked at this same grouping of 7 bright stars and saw a bear. It is a profound mystery of the human imagination. For the Haudenosaunee, the answer is now written in the sky for all to see, a reminder of the 3 brothers, their faithful dog, and the great cosmic bear they pursued to the top of the world. The storyteller's voice in the Longhouse becomes softer, more intimate. The great epic part of the tale is over. Now comes the lesson, the part that you and the other villagers will carry with you every night for the rest of your lives. The creation of the constellation was not just an ending, it was a beginning. It was the gift of a clock, a calendar, and a map, all written in the steady, silent language of the stars. The sky becomes a giant slow-motion storybook, retelling the same epic tale every single year. It's the ultimate celestial rerun, but it never gets old, and it's far more useful than anything else on television. He explains how you are to read this story. In the spring, as the snows melt and the world begins to awaken, you will see the Great Bear constellation low in the sky, appearing as if it is just climbing out of its den on its feet. This is the sign that the bear, and the earth itself, is waking from its long winter sleep. It is the celestial signal to begin preparing the fields, to celebrate the return of life, and to plant the first seeds of the 3 sisters. As summer arrives, with its long days and warm nights, you will see the 3 hunters rising in the sky, chasing the bear as it runs high across the celestial vault. The chase is in full swing. This corresponds to the time of growing, when the corn stalks are reaching for the sun and the beans are climbing high. It is a season of work, of tending the crops, and of watching the great story unfold above you each night. Then, as the air grows crisp and the nights grow longer, you will see the constellation begin its descent toward the western horizon. The hunters are catching up. The lead hunter, the tracker, finally strikes the bear. This is the moment in autumn when the leaves turn red and gold, stained by the celestial hunt, just as you learned. The bear, wounded, begins to falter. This is the sign from the sky that the harvest should be complete and that the time for the earthly hunt has begun. And in the deep of winter, when the world is cold and quiet, you will see the constellation lying on its back, low on the horizon. The bear has been killed, its spirit released. The hunt is over. It is a time for the people to rest, to live off the stores they have gathered, and to sit by the fire, just like this, telling the story to the next generation, ensuring the great celestial clock is never forgotten. It's a brilliant system. You get a cool story, and as a bonus, you also know when to plant your corn and how to find your way home. It's a myth with a very practical benefits package. But the story in the stars is also a map. The storyteller points out how the two stars on the front of the bear's body, the bowl of the dipper, form a perfect straight line. If you follow that line across the sky, it will lead you to a single steady star that does not move. This is the North Star, the star that stands still while all the others circle around it. Using the bear to find the North Star is one of the oldest tricks in the book. It's the original turn left at the big rock of celestial navigation, and it's basically foolproof. For a people who travel great distances through dense, trackless forests, this is a gift of incalculable value.
The full extent of pre-literate astronomical knowledge is impossible to reconstruct, but many researchers now believe that this celestial clock was used to predict not just seasons, but specific events like animal migrations with remarkable accuracy. While the Haudenosaunee see three hunters, it's fascinating that some of their Algonquin neighbors share the bear story, but see the three handle stars as figures carrying a stretcher for the slain bear, a celestial funeral procession marking the death of the year. The story is alive, and now, for you and everyone in this longhouse, it is an essential part of your world. The old storyteller's voice trails off, becoming one with the soft crackle of the last burning log. The great story is finished. The sky has been explained, the seasons have been given their reason, and the people have been given their map. The few others who were still awake and listening give the old man a quiet, respectful nod before melting back into the shadows of their own sleeping platforms. You are left sitting in the deep, warm quiet of the longhouse, the embers of the central fire casting a final, gentle glow. You look at the storyteller, who is now just a kind-faced old man, and realize the true weight of his role. In a world without books or hard drives, he is the library. He is the community's living, breathing search engine, encyclopedia, and streaming service all rolled into one. His memory is the original cloud storage. This story wasn't just entertainment, it was a lesson in astronomy, in calendar keeping, in navigation, in natural history, and in the core values of his culture: courage, perseverance, and balance. The entire operating manual for their world is passed down not in text, but in the cadence of a human voice and the warmth of a shared fire. Linguists and historians debate how much a story would change over centuries of oral retelling, but the core structure of these foundational myths often shows remarkable consistency, suggesting a careful and sacred process of transmission. You notice the old man place a hand on a small, worn leather pouch at his belt. You wonder if it holds mnemonic devices to help him navigate the epic tale, perhaps a smooth black stone to represent the bear, a sharp piece of flint for the arrow, a swirl of feathers for the eagle. It's like a PowerPoint presentation, but instead of boring bullet points, you have cool, mysterious objects. Definitely an upgrade. The longhouse is now filled with the gentle sound of dozens of people sleeping. It's a symphony of soft breathing and the occasional, surprisingly loud snore from the guy on the top bunk. Some things truly are timeless. The air is thick with the scent of cool smoke and the feeling of deep, communal rest. The story is over, but it has left its mark on you. The sky will never look the same. You feel your own eyelids growing heavy, the exhaustion of your long journey finally catching up with you, pulling you down into the soft comfort of the cattail mattress and the warm fur robe. The last thing you see as your eyes close is the deep, orange-red heart of the fire, pulsing slowly like a sleeping heartbeat. The story has found its resting place now, settling deep within your mind as you begin to drift. The images of the cosmic hunt soften and fade, their purpose fulfilled, leaving behind only a feeling of profound peace and a sense of connection to the vast, quiet world outside. The memory of the Great Bear is no longer a source of tension, but a gentle and reassuring presence, a guardian turning slowly in the velvet darkness of the sky, far, far above. Feel the warmth of the longhouse around you, a safe and ancient shelter. Feel the steady, comforting weight of the firs covering you, a gentle pressure that grounds you and allows your muscles to finally release their hold. Your own breathing is now deepening, slowing to match the sleeping rhythm of the world around you. Each breath is a soft wave, carrying you further away from the shores of wakefulness, out into the calm, quiet sea of your own dreams. There is nothing left to do now, nothing left to think about. There is only the soft darkness, the gentle warmth, and the silent, steady turning of the stars. Let the last embers of the fire fade and let yourself drift with them into a deep and well-earned sleep.